Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 99 of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we are coming to you once again from the international headquarters of GSM Services right here in downtown Gastonia. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We have another great episode this week as we once again highlight Gaston Aquatics. We have Donna Taylor and Trey Taylor with us today. Donna is the current president of the board for Gaston Aquatics, and Trey is the vice president of the board. So Donna and Trey, it's great to have you on, and welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having us today.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Absolutely. So if you're wondering why we are having them back on again, well, a lot has happened since our last episode. I think that was episode number 23. So if any listeners want to have go back and re-listen to that episode or hear some of that for the first time, that's a great place to start. However, there may be some listeners out here who aren't familiar with Gaston Aquatics. So the first thing I want to do is just to question to both of you, maybe Donna, start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the organization, and then we'll get into what's new and what's been happening. So Donna, tell us a little bit about yourself, anything you'd like to share.
I'm Donna Taylor. I've lived in Gaston County for almost 25 years. I'm not a native, but I think it counts at this point. I am an attorney by trade, and I was the office manager at my husband's dental practice until we sold that about a year ago. And I have two children, Emma and Andrew, and Gaston Aquatics is my third child. Been working on this for a long time.
That's probably a fair description.
Oh, and this is Splash. We didn't introduce Splash.
Okay. I forgot. Sorry. So, yeah, Splash is, how would you describe Splash?
Splash is our mascot, is Gaston Aquatics' mascot, and travels on fun adventures with us.
Very good. Yeah. Kind of like Sylvester, Thurman and Sylvester here at GSM.
That's right.
Except Splash is much smaller.
He's scaled.
Trey, how about you, sir?
My name's Trey Taylor. I'm also not quite native. I've been here since '88, but so I'm almost native, more than Donna. But I was raised in the county. I've been working in aquatics full time since 2012. I'm going to be working for Gaston Aquatics once it opens. I work with the Gaston Gators now, in addition to serving on multiple nonprofits dealing with aquatics across the nation.
All right. Very good. So you came to Gaston County the year I graduated high school. Makes me feel old. Were you like 2 probably?
Oh, yes.
Wow. Okay, then. Moving on. So, again, this question is really for both of you, and y'all can just go in the order you like. So, again, might have some listeners who aren't familiar with Gaston Aquatics, how it came about, what's the mission of the organization, and then we'll get into the big question about what has kind of been going on and changed since going almost, believe it or not, almost 2 years ago, back when we talked on episode 23. So, Donna, maybe start with you on that one.
We're a 501c3, and I guess everybody knows that means we're a nonprofit. And our goal is to provide aquatic solutions that will touch everybody in the county and beyond. We want to have adaptive aquatics, which is for differently abled citizens, lessons for adults and children, underserved populations, and people who want to come in and have private lessons across the board. And competitive swim, of course, high school, and for Gators would be the home team, separate and apart, a different entity, but rent space to be the home team, and have veterans programming and really touch people across the board.
Yeah, that's a great point. One thing I didn't mention is, episode 23, we did talk about really both Gaston Gators and Gaston Aquatics, and then I guess today we might, obviously, you can't talk about one probably without talking about the other, but they're very, very related organizations and topics to discuss. So thank you. Trey, anything you would add to that?
I would just add that aquatics in Gaston County has long been isolated to kind of neighborhoods, and the areas that have served aquatics have done a wonderful job of serving their surrounding areas. And the goal that we want to fill is to be able to hit the rest of the county that hasn't been served previously, just to supplement, not supplant, all the other people that are doing wonderful things in aquatics in the county, and just be able to make sure that we can open it up to absolutely everyone in the county, because everyone can benefit from the water.
All right, very good. So one last question before we move on. How did you get involved with this, Donna?
So my kids have swum with gators. Emma isn't anymore. She's graduated. But when she was 5, she started.
Very good swimmers, too, by the way.
And thank you. And we have had different iterations with gators of not having a home and having to really fight for water or search for water. And I kind of thought it was crazy that it was that hard to find space. And then especially once they got closer to high school, and I had friends with kids who were swimming high school, and they were swimming 8 to 10 to 11 kids in a lane for 45 minutes and were expected to get better. Yeah. And I thought, gosh, that's weird. And we had a personal experience. My father-in-law had an aneurysm and was disabled. And to get him into water, you would have to take him to Charlotte and put him in this lift and put him down in water. And it's almost like cattle. And when I heard from Trey about all these 0-degree entry pools, other places where you can put people in PVC wheelchairs and wheel them down in, I couldn't fathom why we didn't have that opportunity here. Mobility is the biggest problem that Gaston County has in terms of a disability. And if people can get in water, they can start to float. They don't, feel that pressure against a wheelchair, any of that.
Freedom from gravity.
And so if you can just slide somebody on a board from one wheelchair into a PVC wheelchair and roll right down in, why wouldn't you do it?
Right.
So those things all just came together. And
then you weren't smart enough to say no when I asked you if you wanted to start this back
that too.
Yeah, there's always that piece of it, right? When somebody's passionate about something, and that's how things get done. So, Trey, I know you're involvement and very passionate about this as well. So just real quick, how did you kind of get involved in this whole endeavor?
It's family business. My father was on one of the iterations of trying to accomplish this goal, back in the early 2000s, and came very close. He and a bunch of other hardworking volunteers, and I kind of lived and breathed it through him when I was in high school and everything, and saw how close we got and how frustrated it made him, and how much he really wanted to see it happen and hated that it never happened that time. And when we saw an opportunity again, I guess I just felt like it was my responsibility to continue it on.
Yeah, just to continue the, I'm going to say, what's the old saying? You got to deal with the sins of the father. This isn't the sins of the father, right? This is continuing the legacy work of the father. Okay, so again, I appreciate you sharing a little bit of background. I just think it's helpful, for maybe some listeners who don't go back to episode 23, right, and hear some more of that detail. So, I'm personally, because of my relationship with you guys and my involvement a little bit on a much, 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 much smaller scale, and appreciate the work you've done. So we want to talk about what is happening right now, what has happened since, I think it was September, October of 2021, I think is when we spoke last.
We still had plexiglass back then.
We did, yeah. What a joke, right? That helped a lot. Maybe just made us feel better, like we were doing something. So, Don, I'll start with you, but this is questions for both of you. What's been going on? Where do things stand right now? And I hope this will be kind of the main discussion here today.
So we have purchased over 5 acres of land in Dallas. And if you think of going up 321 and you look to your left and there's Gaston College, look to your right and that's Gaston Aquatics.
Directly behind Ingalls and above Gaston Fence Company.
Yeah, so that kind of piece of land between Gaston Fence Company, as Trey just said, and Ingalls. Yep.
So our signage and then the front of our building will face 321. So prime property hits people coming 85, 321, all of that. So that is huge. We've got the land, we've done all the studies and all of that needs to be done that he can probably speak to a lot more than I can. All those boxes you have to tick to build a really heavy pool. And we have the final iteration of the drawings. We have a 50-meter pool, and I'll let him talk more about that, and a big programming pool. One of the really cool things about our programming pool, and that's the one where there'll be lessons, where there'll be the adaptive aquatics, where there'll be the medical rehab facilities. That's the one with the 0-degree entry where you roll right down in. it is 25 yards long. So if you go to Southampton or the country club or any of those pools and you see kids swimming in a meet, that's a 25-yard pool. Well, one of the metrics to have learned how to swim is to be able to swim a lap. Most of the programming pools are
any random distance, 17 and a half yards, 52 feet, it just depends.
but not 25 yards. Well, we have extended our programming pool and made it that length, so it allows zoning for a lot of different activities to happen, but also for people who have completed the programming of lessons to be able to swim a lap without having to go get in the big pool.
In the pool they're already comfortable in.
Yep. And so USA Swimming has the entity that oversees all the year-round swim teams, has even sent us a letter of support and recognized how good our plan is. So that was pretty exciting to get since we were here last. We've been raising a lot of money because we need a lot of money to build
That's kind of important
Yes.
for something like this.
And if anybody else wants to give money, donate now button on the website. What other?
So, that kind of touches the progress of the building. We have a groundbreaking scheduled for August 31st that we hope to see Stephen at, as
It's
well
on the
as
calendar, so
many other people. But in terms of what's still going on now, we have our lead alts instructor, Kelly Tabor, is still working tirelessly anywhere we can get her pool space to teach as many adults as she can to swim.
Including my backyard.
Including Donna's backyard. In any water we can find. We are working on developing some veteran programming that we hope to start workshopping in early August. Let's see, and...
Well, obviously, the gigantic event, right, is the land since the last time we talked.
Yes.
So that, frankly, it seemed like there was a plan, but it was kind of up in the air, and it wasn't this one, right?
No.
When we spoke
I think there
a year
have
and a
been
half
2 or
ago.
3 since then.
Yes, yeah. So
But this is a done deal.
So yeah, when unlike some organizations that are doing work in the community, right? This one, you got to have a physical location.
We're working towards the work.
Yeah. So the building is super important. So that's really it's great to hear that's, and then you can start the other planning. And so I'll throw out one other thing that's occurred in the last a few months is you'll have an intern.
We do.
I couldn't go this episode without mentioning an intern that might be related to me. And so if you follow Gaston Aquatics online or anything, you see anything, most of the stuff that's posted and has the involvement of my daughter Hannah. So I have to thank Gaston Aquatics and
she is doing a spectacular job.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Well, and this goes to what our goals are for touching everybody in the community, right? She's finished a degree in recreation management at App and needed an internship. Well, we need help. We have ideas. We have a lot of projects, but I'm old. And I know how to like things on social media, but that's about my extent, and I'll post a picture of a kid or a dog every now and then. But that's about my extent of it. Well, why wouldn't we have Hannah, who we trust and know that she has training in this,
Sure,
and reap the benefits of her, and she gets an amazing experience because she's not sitting behind a desk in a corner somewhere being an intern where people don't give her a lot of responsibility. And it's why we're also trying to partner with local businesses as we build and do some of, for small businesses, I ran one. Sometimes it's hard to write a big check. It's easier if you have a business where people are working and can work on site somewhere and do some in-kind work. And that's innovative and it's different. But if you have people, if you have a roofing company and you can send people to work on a roof, they see the project and are aware of it. And sometimes it's easier to keep people working and use materials you already have rather than write a check. So, sometimes my husband would donate his time and do work on people.
Sure.
Rather than necessarily writing a check to an organization. So we're trying to work that way too, which is different than a lot of projects.
So to your point, we have Naomi here, who is our social media extraordinaire expert. have I ever posted anything online straight from GSM? No, maybe 15 years ago when all this wackiness started in the social media world or whenever.
Do you even have the login?
Oh yeah, actually, I'm actually still an administrator.
Oh.
Matter of fact, originally they were, all connected to my personal page. I don't know, they still are, but yeah, there you go. I got no idea. So anyway, yeah, what a disaster that was early on. So, all right, so that's good. So there's a lot more. My point there was there's more going on than just the building, right?
Absolutely,
and then securing the land. But obviously, that's just such a gigantic, in my view, that's such a gigantic piece of it. So, last time you guys were on, we kind of talked about some of the impacts, some of the successes, and I've seen some of the stuff you all are doing. So now that this is kind of progressing, what else has been going on? I mean, I've seen some. So you talked about some of the initiative that Kelly's working on. How about I've seen some adult swim stuff, some adult lesson stuff online. Can you maybe, that's just an impact that I'm remembering right off the top of my head. Can you maybe talk about that a little bit?
So it's called ALTS, Adults Learn to Swim, and it is through United States Master Swimming, and it's a special certification. And Gaston Aquatics has the most certified ALTS instructors of anybody in the region. And what we do is we get grants, and there are a lot of grants out there for this because the drowning rate in adults is tragic, and it becomes generational, which is the next problem. So if you can't swim, you're not going to encourage your children to swim, and then they don't get to hang out with people who do swim, and it's a vicious cycle. So
68% chance is the latest that Cullen Jones and all them put out, especially if you're in a minority household. If you don't swim, say almost 70% chance that your child will never swim.
Did you say Cullen Jones?
Yeah.
The NC State All-American?
That is correct.
An Olympian?
Correct.
and
Okay, I was just curious. I was just making sure I
And
heard
still record holder at NC State.
that. Okay.
and a big enthusiast for and spokesperson for ALTS.
All right, very good.
So we take people where they are, which is it's not this super prescribed, you need to get in the water and you need to do X, Y, Z. It's tell me what makes you scared of the water, or what are your concerns or experiences around water. And then get in and start with, the blowing bubbles out of your, like it really starts at the very elementary stages. And it's not, you have 30 minutes 4 times to learn how to swim and then you're done. So it's a little bit of a longer process, and I'm an assistant, and it is one of the most rewarding things that I do all week.
This is really about building a relationship with the people and getting them not just comfortable with the water, but trusting that you are looking out for their best interests and trying to provide them with a skill, not just, trying to, check a box or.
Yeah, I think it's, as someone who grew up, I was fortunate enough to have parents who got me, I guess, I can't remember her name, but
Was it Betsy States?
yes. And
She's
and then,
on our advisory
and
committee.
then the YMCA, I mean, I was, exposed to the water early, and my kids, I'm by no means a great swimmer at all. I mean, my wife is a much better swimmer, and our kids are much better swimmers than I am. However, I learned enough that I could be in the water and not drown. Okay. I mean, and I don't say that lightly. And I think that's the kind of thing that I probably take for granted. That that
you feel safe.
And you guys have helped open my eyes to just the number of individuals. And again, just look at the stats you just said that don't have that opportunity. And so that's another. I think people are going to see a Gaston Aquatics building and assume there's a bunch of swim meets going on, and there's so much more. My point is there's so much more to it than that.
And we did a couple of things at the building. Well, first, back to who we teach to swim. We have taught Ghanaian refugees. Do you know Pastor Rodney Freeman?
Yeah, very well.
From Mount Zion Restoration.
He's terrific.
He and his deacons. My husband and I go out to Bountiful Blessings and work every Thursday morning. And he was asking what we do, and we were joking, we teach swim lessons for free. And he went, what? So we've taught them. We've taught some Asian American women whose husbands knew how to swim, but they didn't know how to swim. And some other people in the community. We're teaching a very prominent real estate agent who has a pool and a beach house and didn't know how to swim. Well, how are you going to let your grandkids get in your pool if you can't
get in and save them when needed?
So
to speak. Yeah.
So we go really across the board on who we teach. One of the other things that's unique about our building, going back to the building, is a lot of programming pools and the big competitive pool are right beside each other. Well, ours has a wall separating the two, which means different heating and air, which shouldn't tax either one too much. And the air then for each side should match the water. So the colder water will have the cooler air, make everybody comfortable. The warmer water will have the warmer air, make everybody comfortable.
Within 6 degrees to keep humidity below. Stephen can do that better
than
me.
All those things. But the other thing it does is it provides emotional safety. You're not walking out in front of a bunch of competitive swimmers to go to your first lesson. Because some people, when they come to their first lesson, they want to wear socks and a sweatshirt because they feel like the more they have on, the safer they'll be, which isn't true.
Yeah, your first 10K, you don't want to start at the front.
But so if you have your own hallway to go down, have your own little staging area to get into the pool where you're going to have your lessons, you'll feel more confident than being in front of, Chuck Niemeyer and all these folks who are getting ready to sprint and stir up a bunch of water and stuff.
Naomi, do you know how to swim? Oh, okay. I thought we had an opportunity here maybe. But yes. The whole pool has basically been designed to not exclude anyone and to not kick anyone out at any certain time. So it's set up in such a way that you can have a USA Swimming meet going on while still having adult programming. They have separate locker room access, so there's not crossover there, which keeps USA Swimming and Safe Sport happy. The members are happy because they're able to still use the facility while there's a meet going on. There can be a practice going on simultaneously with that. The idea is, when we designed it, is to keep everyone in the water doing different things and using the facility to its maximum capacity and not being inefficient. We can have 4 different things at minimum going on at any time and not have to remove anyone from the water. Okay.
And our location is amazing for a variety of reasons. I didn't know this, not being a native. Dallas is the geographical center of the county. And we've talked to teams from Charlotte.
It was the original county seat,
We've talked to teams from Charlotte, and they're more excited about coming straight across on 85 than having to get into downtown Charlotte.
Yeah.
Like if they're on the outskirts, they're like, oh my gosh, it's so much easier for us to hit 85 and hit you all. And there are so many teams to the west and the north that don't have water access. So we're going to hit that competitive section too.
All right, so let's talk about maybe you mentioned businesses, collaborations. I mean, maybe can we touch on that? So I know you mentioned the town of Dallas, and obviously there's 2 super close businesses to the location. You got Gaston College right across the 321. So maybe just kind of touch on that and anything you can share there, because again, that was not much. I mean, there was some going on 2 years ago, but not a whole lot.
So we've gotten a couple of our big naming rights taken. There's this company called GSM Services, and they will have the naming right to this programming pool that we keep talking about, the strength and conditioning pool. And so we will use whatever branding is in place at the time and put that up, and that's very exciting. And I don't know if you all know, but there's a Hungry Howie's and a Penn Station Subs in Dallas in the Ingalls parking lot. And their owner, EFP Brands, has obtained the naming right to the scoreboard. And they will be one of the preferred providers for food for our meats and things like that. And they have a food truck.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Cool.
So those are very exciting. And we have others. I think, was Choice already on board?
I don't remember.
They have
I can't remember last week, Donna.
Trey, you're probably better than we are on this.
They were at the time.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
They have the naming right to the entrance lobby. Travel and Tourism has the spectator area. So we're trying to touch a lot of local businesses with that. There are still naming rights out there. if anybody wants them. And Gaston College, we have met with Dr. Hooser there, and our fantastic intern has prepared a document with all the uses that different community colleges in the state of North Carolina use, any aquatic usage they have and how it's configured. And we really think that that will provide the opportunity for lifeguards. One of the problems is staffing.
Yes.
Everybody knows that.
Last few years has been interesting. I'll just leave it at that.
But the lifeguard job is a part-time job. And so you have a lot of people who are young and healthy who can pass their lifeguard certification and come work in 4-hour increments.
Works fairly well with the student schedule.
So that's great. And we're going to be talking with Gaston College about other ways that we can partner. They're big into certifications, making people, work ready. And we have a lot of opportunities to do that with different types of health certifications, with lifeguard, with all of those things. And now with their athletic programs.
Yes.
All right. So what about
Aqua rhinos.
Oh, that's funny. So, so I guess the next big question is, now that we've come so far, you guys have come so far. Maybe that wasn't a slip. Sorry.
No, it's a community effort.
Yeah. What? Let's talk about the timeline. Trey, you mentioned the August 31st groundbreaking. Just what's the timeline now? Is it? I'm assuming. I mean, you guys can't see it, or obviously if you're listening online, but on YouTube, they've got the plans here, recent updates. So it's all happening, right? I mean, this isn't just conceptual anymore.
No.
Right.
Civil engineering is done. The site plan is ready. We're planning, the architectural plans are released to engineering. So all that should be coming. So we should have build ready blueprints. Hopefully in about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks is the goal. Donna's optimistic. Then after that, it's been billed as a 10 to 14 month project, assuming that there are no weather issues or anything like that. So
assume there will be.
Right. So anyone that knows construction is probably realistically a 12 to 16 month project.
Yeah. So one of the other good things is it's a what's the term for the building?
Still prefab, the main shell. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing. So it's not complicated in terms of erecting the building.
Yeah.
It's like Lego pieces that lock together. And I'm making it sound very simple, and I know it's not that simple.
It's more of an erector set.
Okay, that.
Yeah, that might be a better description than Legos.
And while it is going to be an attractive building, it is meant to be functional.
Yeah.
And it is a series of rectangles inside the erector set building. And so there aren't a lot of additional bells and whistles that would make us take more time and money.
Yeah,
sure.
We're trying to be as absolutely fiscally responsible with the donor money that we can. Being a nonprofit, we want everything to serve the actual services that we wish to provide. So the pool itself, and the spectator area are the main focuses, and then everything there is designed to be as functional as possible.
No fountains and waterfalls.
Rolled epoxy floors, no structural glass, things that are aesthetically pleasing but not exorbitantly expensive.
So if things go as scheduled, with your maybe not quite as optimistic as Donna, but my experience with construction, you're looking at very toward the end of 2024, maybe the beginning of 2025. Obviously the grand opening is what everybody wants to know, that answer to that question, right?
Sure.
So do I.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
The pie in the sky goal is to be able to host the typical home meet that the Gators do actually at a home pool in the end of 2024.
Right.
And before that, we'll do some sort of, hopefully we'll be able to have everybody put their suits on, and I mean suit and tie, and jump into the pool before that.
And so some of that we just don't know. One of the other big things that has happened is we got a match grant, a SCIF grant from the state of North Carolina, where if we raised $1 million, we got $3 million, and then if we raised another $1 million, we got another $1 million, which makes a huge difference.
Oh, sure.
But they see it from an economic driver and safety and health, which is all the things we want to do. And Mike Applegate from Travel and Tourism estimates that every weekend home meet will bring in $500,000 of revenue to the county that we've never seen. And in the first year, we should have 6 meets.
Yes. And Dallas has a hotel tax and no hotels, and we hope to help fix that problem too.
And the hotels in Gastonia aren't far.
No.
People hear it's a different town and think, oh gosh, you'd have to drive all the way to a different town. Well, it's 7 minutes. When I'm in Greensboro, I go to a hotel in Greensboro, and it's more than 7 minutes away. So it being in Dallas is still great for Gastonia. It's still great for all the other surrounding towns in the county.
And it gives people options too. If someone's coming into town for a meet and they've heard something about downtown Belmont, they can pick a Belmont hotel and go walk there. They've heard about Mount Holly, they can it gives people options for if you're coming to a meet every year, you can pick a different township within this county. And
oh, sure. I mean, but you're correct. I mean, frankly, Remount Road, the hotels there are just you jump on 85, or frankly, you just go up New Hope Road as well.
Right.
I mean, so yeah.
And we were just in North Charleston for a meet, and our hotel was in North Charleston, but it was 20-some minutes away. Well, you could stay in Belmont, and it's 16.
Yeah, just as close.
So all that's going on, but we are submitting our paperwork very soon for that last $1 million match. So that has been a huge booster for us.
All right. So I think we've done a good job of kind of covering what's happened since what's happened. What was that?
Did you learn that at NC State?
Apparently. That might have been pre NC State there. That might have been Gaston County, because I am a lifelong original here, so maybe that's the problem. So you've done a great job of kind of covering what's happened since the last time we talked. So and you kind of covered the next year and a half as well. So you've without me asking, you've kind of answered several of the questions. But this is a question that I did ask the last time, and I think you shared a lot of reasons already, both of you have. But again, for our maybe listeners, maybe summarize up, why is, again, I love this question, why is Gaston County better now and then going to be better in the future because of Gaston Aquatics?
Well, for me now, with this coming forward, I will be in swimming and don't intend on leaving swimming. And now, should my children choose to swim, one of which I have on the way.
Oh, very nice.
Then I don't have to worry.
So that is something that has happened since.
I don't have to worry about where they're going to swim.
Oh, no, that's good. Yeah.
Or about moving for aquatic work.
Yeah, that's interesting. So
I get to stay near my family and grow my family.
Yeah. So I can't part of one of the points I'd like to point out, and listen, we've breached the subject that GSM is a supporter of this facility and the organization, and it wasn't because a building was being built for swim meets and the Gaston Gators only, and that was a big part of it. But it was really all the other things that you guys are doing for the community. And you've already mentioned, the ALTS program is maybe as good of an example as anything. So those are the things that interest us. As someone who, part of our mission is just simply to be involved, whatever that might look like, So, so would you add anything to that, Donna, or did Trey cover it pretty well?
He covered it. And I guess like I said earlier, I got into this on the competitive side and with the element of my father-in-law and remembering him. It extends out, and so now I've become so passionate about it in so many ways. And one of the weird statistics is children on the autism spectrum have 160% higher rate of drowning incidents. 14% of the kids in Gaston County schools and Cleveland County and Lincoln County are in the EC program. and not all of them are on the spectrum. I'm not trying to.
No, I got you. Understand.
But when you look at those numbers and you think about any child or adult that you know that is on the autism spectrum, super curious, but have sensory issues, and then may not have the tonal response if they fall in water. So they're attracted to water, but they haven't been given lessons because the lessons with other typically developing children are loud and they may not like to be touched during lessons. So you can get certifications to teach kids who are on the autism spectrum how to swim or how not to drown. I mean, I would love everybody to be able to swim.
Yes.
The bigger issue at this point is how can you be safe and not drown? And there's also a misconception that athletes are swimmers. In Shelby, or at Moss Lake, a Shelby football player drowned recently. Amazing athlete. We had a kid from Huss drown in the river recently, a year and a half ago, I think.
Yep.
Great track athlete. A rugby player and football player just this past week up in Charlotte. Great athlete, but couldn't swim. Those are lives
the NFL
lost.
quarterback that just drowned in the Gulf of
Yeah,
Mexico.
Ryan Mallett. Yeah.
Lives lost absolutely unnecessarily.
And today is the day after the biggest drowning day historically in Gaston County every year.
Yeah, we're recording this on July 5th, so even though we're not going to be releasing it, but yeah, it's day after July 4th. So yeah, a lot of celebrating and maybe too much celebrating sometimes.
Well, and I saw a bunch of kids, athletes from a college around here recently, and they were kind of trying to swim in the water. And I said, "What are you doing?" And they said, "Oh, well, we're football players, and our coach told us while we were home to swim." They didn't know how to swim, and we're struggling.
Again, somebody making assumptions, right?
And so for me, starting this, I thought pretty much everybody knew how to swim, and I've just been struck.
Well, we've learned a lot just in general over all the research and time that we spent in this as to how to do things, how not to do things.
All right, so this has been good. So anything I haven't asked that I should have asked, anything left on the table? Obviously, before we finish, we'll make sure we reiterate how to find information out about you guys, where to go online, how to donate. We'll make sure we cover that before we're finished. But anything I haven't asked, anything you'd like to share before we move on to these?
We haven't really talked a lot about the medical side.
Okay.
But we are essentially creating a mid-level. There's, of course, aquatic therapy by physical therapists, and we will partner with independent occupational therapists and physical therapists who want to rent space, and we have clinical rooms for them at the GSM programming pool. But we will have instructors who have sort of a mid-level between therapy and exercise certifications. So if you have people with hip and knee problems, they can come on Tuesday from 9 to 9:30 with an instructor. And it's not going to be a big aquarobics class. It'll be, 4 to 8 people who all have similar issues doing similar types of exercises to increase their mobility. The rate is something like 60% faster through PT if you do it in the water than if you're doing it on land to recover.
And insurance has evolved in such a way that PT may not be covered, but a lot of insurances are giving credits towards wellness that can then be used towards that. So
Sure.
We've tried to make sure that we can target it where it's not something someone's going to have to necessarily pay out of pocket for, that they may already have access to that and to a fund they probably weren't even using, to a benefit of their insurance they weren't even touching.
And that's something that just has not been explored by a lot of people, and it's a huge need.
Oh, great point. That's a good point. Yeah, something I think we had talked about it maybe offline once or twice, but and I think we mentioned it even last time back on the previous episode. So
that's one of the other big areas.
Okay, very good. So again, the main point for me anyway is it's a lot more than a swimming pool for swim teams and athletic events, so to speak, right? So again, I appreciate that. So we're going to, like as we always do, not going to let these guys off the hook from our.
Maybe we can talk about some parts about the pool.
We have this is going to be we now have a location in Dallas for Gaston Aquatics speed round of questions. Man, that was a good one, wasn't it, Naomi? All right, and
Catchy.
yeah, thank you. So, we're starting with Donna, and these are not the same questions we asked them before, and it's not the questions that we sent them. So, we're going to start. This is, again, super important stuff that your donors are going to want to know about you, and friends, family, kids. Now, what is your favorite movie?
Oh my gosh.
There's a time limit.
A time limit?
Have somewhere to be Saturday. I have somewhere to be by Saturday, please.
What's the movie where the World War II movie where they go up on the first scene?
Saving Private Ryan?
Yes.
You know, it almost doesn't work if you have to ask
Ask Mark.
other people.
I ask him all the time, what's that song that I like that says these things? And he's like, you got to help me out a little bit more. I'm terrible at things like this.
It's funny that we got that immediately.
Yeah.
So you know it.
Oh yeah, it's a terrific movie. It's a terrific movie. Yeah, and I'm assuming it's because the movie starts and they're on the water. Is that the reason? The connection
I
there?
hadn't even thought about that. Except a lot of people die.
Have you ever seen that movie? Give yourself a wah or something. Jeez, that's worse than not seeing those Will Ferrell movies.
Okay, you need to see that tonight.
Or no, it was It's a Wonderful Life you hadn't seen.
Oh my gosh.
Trey, how would you answer that question?
Today, From Russia with Love.
Oh wow, a little James Bond there.
Don't unless you want to be here for 7 hours. Don't get him started on James Bond.
Ask me tomorrow; it'll probably be different. But
Okay,
I usually have a rotating stable about 5.
Understood. Donna, favorite vacation spot as you're drinking water?
Croatia.
Somehow I figured that was
Around here, Isle of Palms.
okay. Trey?
Jekyll Island.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Jekyll Island. That's where a movie Glory was filmed. You ever seen the movie Glory?
Also recently filmed The Menu.
Oh, really?
That
I haven't seen that yet, but
the horror thriller,
yeah,
foodie movie. Yeah.
Heard about that. Donna, favorite memory as a child?
Probably going to this what's it called? Peaks of Otter in Virginia with our best family friends every year.
Ah, okay. What's it called?
Peaks of Otter. I remembered it.
Oh, wow.
It's in Virginia.
Okay, this portion of the episode's going really well. Trey, how would you answer that favorite memory as a child?
Walking on Daytona Beach with my Meemaw.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Daytona's great. Donna, what was the last series that you streamed?
Saving Private Ryan.
That's a movie. The most series.
But the Ryan is the same.
Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan. This
See,
is
I'm
so.
terrible at
This
this.
is so.
One's Tom Hanks, the other's a Tom Clancy.
This
series.
is so
Ryan.
good. This is so good.
Ryan.
I knew I was going to stump her a few
I know,
times.
a lot,
This
every
is on,
time.
and this is on purpose.
Yeah, sure.
Trey, how would you answer that?
Fubar, the new Schwarzenegger series on Netflix.
Okay, I've heard about that, but I haven't seen it myself. So this is a repeat question, Donna. So I'm going to give you a break on this
Okay.
one. However, I should have went and looked back what your last answer was, so we may not allow you to answer the same. What is something very few people know about you? I bet you don't even remember what you said last time. I don't either.
Probably that I lived in Poland for a long time.
Actually, I think that's what you
Is
used.
that what I said last time?
I'm pretty sure
So
it
now
is.
I need to say something else?
Yes, you can't use that. That's how we roll here.
That I, not fluently, but proficiently speak at least 4 languages.
And besides English?
Polish, Dutch, Spanish, little Portuguese, little Croatian, some other things.
That's
here.
6.
Yeah. But the other
Just for
those
the record.
those aren't at all proficient.
Oh, okay.
Those last couple, but I can get by. If you stuck me in the country, I could
So
get around.
when we travel, I just need to take you along if I go somewhere.
It's
Speak those
helpful. I've
language.
traveled with her. It's good to have her.
My children actually, because we pick places where I
Where you can
learned
speak?
at least some of the language. Even when we went to Iceland, I could get around, and people didn't know I was an American. So my kids just think that that's automatic. You go places and people treat you like a local.
So you're kind of like on the Matrix. They just plug in some language and you got it. All right, Trey, top that.
Basic for basics. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see, something that not a lot of people know about me. My close circle knows. Probably a lot of people don't know. Donna and two of our other friends are responsible for me meeting my wife.
Really?
They got tired of me being a fifth, seventh, ninth, whatever wheel, and sat down and 3 in a row on a bed and made me an online dating profile, whether I wanted it or not.
Wow.
And picked his wife.
Oh, gosh, that sounds so Donna for some reason. Not that she likes to be in control or anything.
Yeah. Window up, and then a question like this: what's your favorite movie? Thanks. Slam.
When is your baby due?
January 5th.
All right. Really? January 5th.
Needs to be December 31st, so he gets the tax write-off for the whole
So
year.
January 5th is Janet's birthday.
Oh.
So, Janet, you heard that. Might have a birthday to share here soon.
Birthday buddy.
How about this same question from last time? A book or something, blog, article, something you might recommend, Mrs. Taylor?
And of course, I don't remember the name, but it's the new Barbara Kingsolver book. It's really good. Something Demons. I think it won the Pulitzer Prize this year. Or Pulitzer
Don't
Prize.
remember the name. That's shocking.
Oh, it's on my tablet, so I don't carry around the book with the cover.
The title stays at the top of the page.
We're
the whole
not
time
we're
when I
not
read it.
we're not gonna let you know.
Something Demons by Barbara Kingsolver.
Something demons.
Well, he's answering. I'll tell you.
Something Demons.
All right, Trey.
James Rowlands has a new high fantasy series out that has 2 of the 3 books out called the Moonfall Saga. The second one just came out. It's very good.
Cool.
Demon Copperhead.
So it wasn't something demon. It was
Demon
something. All right. So that was pretty much about the flattest speed round that we've ever had
I'm not fast.
on Gaston's Great. So we're going to move on to
I still like UNC the best.
to finish up with our few questions. But we appreciate you indulging us on those new questions that I just made up this morning as I was preparing for this episode. So this is a question that, and frankly, on this next one, you can say exactly what you said last time if you want. I know you're not going to remember, but besides Gaston Aquatics, Donna, why is Gaston County such a great place?
Oh gosh, there's so much to do, and Mark and I talk about it all the time. It really is an outdoor location. We aren't walkable at this point, but with hiking and then with all the water that's around that's not in pools, but with lakes and all of that, there's just so
100
much
miles of coastline in the county.
to do around here.
That's wild, isn't it?
And it's close enough to Charlotte to be able to access a fantastic airport and sports and all of that, but I don't have to live there. I get to live on my nice road near my nice friends and those types of things, and know people and go to the grocery store and see people I know and know who my friends are hanging out with and go outside and do things and have a great time and have access to other things but not have to be surrounded all the time. We live on a little bit of land. We don't like to be surrounded.
Yeah, that's good. That's a great answer. And I agree. Trey, how would you answer that?
The people. I've had opportunities to leave, and the thing that's always kept me around is friends, family, just the people. And my wife accuses me all the time of knowing way too many people. And then when she started being around my dad more, then she knew what that was actually like.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. All right, so this last question is, used to be, what would you advice you give your 20-year-old self? We're not letting you off the hook with that easy, simple question that you've already answered once. So, Donna, if you could have coffee with one historical figure, who would it be and why?
Probably Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was not a perfect human, and none of us are. So I'm not going to be one of those TJ supporters in that way. But he had such great and grand ideas, and I did a lot of research on him. I was writing a master's thesis when I was in Poland about his relationship with the Poles and the French, and his letters and the exchange of ideas is so amazing. And people think of him in terms of Monticello and UVA and all of that, but if you go and you actually read his letters, the thoughtfulness and the forward thinking is amazing, and I would love to sit down and pick his brain.
That's a great answer, and I appreciate that. As a matter of fact, I think the episode we released last week, I think both Sharon Padgett and Ray Hardy, I think they both said Thomas Jefferson to that question, because Sharon's been on multiple times, so I didn't let her off the hook with that same question either. And I've read multiple books about Thomas Jefferson. I've been to Monticello. He's an interesting guy, and something I've done when I can since 2008, since it came out on July 4th. I watched the first 2 episodes of the John Adams series on HBO. Yeah. And the first 2 episodes are basically from the Boston Massacre up to the signing of the Declaration of, well, not the signing, but the Declaration of Independence and drafting of it and the reading of it. So I've always found that fascinating. You get to meet Thomas Jefferson, or at least that interpretation and context, so interesting. So
and I would suggest reading his letters outside of
that context,
of what we think of here.
Sure, yeah.
Pretty incredible.
I'm sure they are.
I have some books.
Interesting, yeah. Trey, how would you answer that one?
This is another one that so many answers. Trying to think of today's answer. Henry Avery.
All right. I'm not familiar with that name.
Pirate captain.
Ah, yeah.
The pirate captain that organized pirates into a pirate republic. One of the first true voting direct democracies done among brigands and hard men. Attempted to create and wrote letters and correspondences of creating a free country outside of Africa called Libertatia. Never actually happened, but theoretically envisioned to be a pirate utopia that
that's
they
interesting.
were going to create, free of kings and tyranny and rules.
Him and pirates is kind of like 007. We might have to.
Okay, so we could have a whole episode just on those 2 things. Have Trey back just to talk about those 2 things.
Whenever I'm free and.
Well, listen, guys, I appreciate that, and I do appreciate allowing me to kind of throw these questions on you that you had no idea were coming. So sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not so good. For Trey, it was great today.
Splash, you should have answered
that. So this has been really good. So again, the main point is we've covered a lot of it. Is kind of get an update on Gaston Aquatics. And now, if you just remind our listeners, where can they go to learn more, donate, just find out the latest things that are happening?
You can visit us online at gastonaquatics.org. We can be emailed at gastonaquatics@gmail.com, and then all of the other socials are just at Gaston Aquatics.
Okay.
I think
if you go into Google and type Gaston Aquatics, you should get lots of ways to find us.
Trey doesn't really do social media, so I think
Good for
actually our TikTok is Gaston_Aquatics that our fantastic intern made, because Gaston Aquatics is a fish in a fishbowl.
Interesting.
We have no idea why.
Yeah, I've never been on TikTok. Isn't that your specialty as well? One of your specialties, Naomi?
And there's a donate now button that our fantastic intern put onto our website.
All right, very good. All right, so any last words, anything you'd like to share before we close this episode out?
Please feel free to contact us. I feel like there's a way we can impact anybody that wants to be impacted.
And anyone that's there's still a little bit of who are they, what are they, and anything that we can do to clear that up for anyone. I know this helps, but anyone that wants to understand exactly who we are and what we're doing and how we're separate from other entities in the county and how we're different from, please reach out.
We only want to make Gaston greater.
Right.
Wow. That's a nice tie-in. You just redeemed yourself, Donna.
I had a minute.
But I think I appreciate your time, and I think I said something similar at the last episode. But I know this has been a long journey for you guys, and a lot of work has been put in, and you've done a great job of bringing people along. And just it takes people with passion to get things done, and that's just the way it is. And so again, I'm personally appreciative of that, and I know the county is a better place because of the work you guys have done and are doing and will continue to doing. So I'm really excited about the next 12 to 16 months, especially, right? We'll see. Right. We'll cross our fingers and pray for good weather and
it's cool to bring babies to construction sites, right? Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
They make
teeny
Small hard
they
hats.
make small hard hats. Absolutely. You put them in a big armor suit or something.
and
Yeah,
a
it's all
huge
good.
shout out to the town of Dallas. They've been great to work
Yes.
Well, good. You know what? That's great to hear.
And we've learned about a bunch of fun venues and entities up there that we had no idea about that have come and sought us out.
Well, good. Well, good. Again, it's a big deal for the county, but it could be more specifically a bigger deal for Dallas, right? And so that's great. Absolutely great to hear. So, as I normally do, I'm going to finish up with my own book or podcast recommendation or something. And I literally just finished a book over the last few days by a gentleman named Michael Easter. It's called The Comfort Crisis. And it was recommended. Actually, I heard him on a couple of different podcasts talking about this book. And then luckily a friend, before I bought it, a friend of mine bought it and gave it to me when he was finished with it. But if you're interested in, it talks about so many things: better health, doing hard things, why.
I thought this was going to be an HVAC thing.
No, it is not. There is no comfort crisis in Gaston County, thanks to GSM. Boy, that was good, wasn't it? But it's about society. We are so advanced and making everything so easy and comfortable that we've gotten maybe too comfortable. And I'll just leave it at that. But if you're interested in that type of topic, which I thought was really good, I would strongly recommend it. And then my thought for the week comes from a gentleman I've studied a little bit, seen some of his stuff before, a guy named Hal Elrod. But this is kind of on responsibility. And anyway, what he said, the moment you accept responsibility for everything in your life is the moment you gain the power to change anything in your life. So kind of that's more of a personal view maybe of the world, but you got a group of individuals though that get together and decide to take responsibility for something like Gaston Aquatics. Then here we are 2 months, roughly a little less than 2 months away from a groundbreaking of something that you guys have been looking forward to. So again, I appreciate that work greatly. So to our listeners out there, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode. Please continue to spread the word if you can about the podcast. Share our episodes. Tell your friends. Tell your relatives. Don't hesitate to contact us here at our email, which is podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We're always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the topic. You can find the podcast maybe and subscribe at the website gastonsgreat.com or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Please follow us on all our social media platforms as well, and give us a good 5-star rating, which helps us get noticed. Thanks again to Donna and Trey for being our guests today. Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by Naomi Hunt and Amy Anderson from GSM Services and edited here locally by the Sumner Group. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.